I'm writing this because the way I found out about my wife's long-running cheating still feels unreal, even now. This story has two parts. The first time I caught her was painful, but ordinary, in the worst way. The second time I found out was the kind of twist you'd never believe if it didn't happen to you. Years ago, I was living in South Korea teaching English. If you've ever done that, you know the rhythm: long days, small apartments, a life that feels temporary even when it lasts for years. That's where I met my wife. She was Korean, smart, driven, the kind of person who looks like she knows exactly where she's going. At first, the relationship felt easy. We argued sometimes, sure. But I thought we loved each other. Or at least, I loved her enough for both of us. We got married. And after a few years, we made the big plan: move to the United States. I was burned out on teaching. She wanted to become a nurse in the US. Back in Korea, she'd worked in an ER, and she took her career seriously. Her English was decent, but she wanted to be fluent before we immigrated, so she enrolled in a language academy, one of those places where you can spend hours every day grinding through lessons. At first, I was proud of her. Then little things started to shift. If you've lived in Korea, you know KakaoTalk. It's not a messaging app, it's basically the country's bloodstream. Everyone uses it. And one of the dumb little couple things we had was our profile photos. We both had a picture of us as our Kakao profile image. She'd even made sure I kept mine the same. Then one day, I noticed she'd removed every photo of us. No couple photo. No wedding photo. Nothing. I asked her about it, expecting some simple answer. Instead, she brushed it off, something like, "It's not a big deal," or "I just wanted to change." When I said, "Okay, can you put it back?" she flat out refused. And she said it with this tone, like I was annoying her. Like I was trying to control her. Like I was the problem for even asking. That was the first time I felt that cold little drop in my stomach, the feeling that something had shifted, but you can't prove it. After that, her attitude toward me got sharper. More confrontational. Sometimes downright humiliating. But I still didn't think cheating. Not really. Because she told me, over and over, that she loved me, that she would never cheat, that I was being paranoid whenever I looked worried. And I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her, because the alternative was what? My entire life in Korea was built around her. Then she started doing this thing where she wouldn't come home. Not every week. Just enough that it didn't feel like a pattern, at least not at first. And every time, she had an explanation that sounded reasonable. Work stuff. A friend's birthday. Helping a cousin. A late study session. The night I found out, she told me she was staying at her sister's place because she had to drive her sister and her sister's husband to the airport early the next morning. It wasn't the first time she'd spent the night away. I remember sitting alone in our apartment that night feeling this heavy, stupid loneliness. You know the kind, where you don't even need company, you just need proof you matter to someone. So I messaged her on KakaoTalk. No reply. That's not the weird part. The weird part was, she didn't even read the messages. Kakao has those read indicators. And it showed my messages sitting there untouched. I called her. No answer. I waited a little and called again. Still nothing. Then I looked at Kakao's online status and saw her sister was active. So I called her sister. I tried to keep my voice calm, like I wasn't about to throw up. I said, "Hey, sorry to bother you. My wife told me she's staying over tonight. Is she there?" There was a pause on the line. And then her sister said something like, "What? No. She's not here." I could hear it in her voice. She wasn't covering. She was genuinely confused. That was the moment my chest went hot. Not anger yet, something worse. The realization that I might be the only person in the room who didn't know what was happening. I hung up and just sat there staring at the wall, trying to make it make sense. Later I learned that after I called, her sister immediately called my wife. And whatever my wife said to her, the sister pushed back hard enough that my wife finally called me. When my wife's name popped up on my phone, I answered already shaking. She tried to talk like everything was normal. I didn't let her. I said, "You lied to me. You have one chance. Come home right now, or we're done." There was silence. Then she said she was on her way. When she got home, she didn't come inside like someone who'd made an innocent mistake. She told me to get in her car. That should have been another clue. I got in, and she started telling this carefully rehearsed story about how she hadn't wanted to tell me because she knew I'd get upset, but she'd gone out to a club with a few single girlfriends. She claimed she was basically playing wingwoman, helping them meet guys, and that she wasn't looking for anyone herself. She said it like it was almost noble. Like she was doing community service. I stared at her and said, "Give me your phone." She hesitated. That hesitation is its own confession. I reached over and took it. Not gently. I opened Kakao Talk, tapped the first conversation thread, and started scrolling. She lunged for the phone, but I turned my body away like I was protecting evidence. And in those few seconds, maybe a minute, I saw enough to break me. The chat wasn't with a girlfriend. It was with one of her teachers at the language academy. And it wasn't a teacher-student chat. It was flirtation. It was inside jokes. It was the kind of messages you send when you've already crossed the line and you're not even pretending anymore. I started taking pictures with my own phone, rapid fire, because I knew the moment she got the phone back, everything would disappear. I managed to get a handful of photos before she ripped the phone away. By then she was crying. Full-on crying. Not quiet tears. The kind of crying that's meant to drown out your questions. She begged me to stop looking. She said, "Please, please, don't. I don't want to hurt you more." But it was too late. The hurt was already inside me. She confessed. She admitted she'd been with him. That night. She said she liked him. That it happened. That she was sorry. That it didn't mean anything. That it was a mistake. All the classic lines, just delivered in Korean accented English and mixed with sobbing. I remember thinking, almost calmly, we're supposed to move to the US in a month. Her green card was already approved. We were about to restart our entire lives together. And suddenly, I didn't know who the person next to me was. In Korea, teaching English is usually temporary. Most foreigners do a year, maybe 2, then go home. By the time this happened, I'd been married for 3 years. I wasn't going out. I wasn't building a big social life. Most of my friends from my first year had already left the country. So when my world cracked open, I had almost no one there. She begged for forgiveness. She swore it would never happen again. She told me she loved me. She promised she'd prove it. She said all the things you say when you're terrified of consequences. At first I told her no. I said I was leaving alone. And I meant it, until I realized what alone actually looked like. 18 hours of flights, layovers, airports. Sitting with my thoughts. Landing in America with nobody waiting, no spouse, no plan, just betrayal and luggage. I was a mess. And in that mess, I did what people do when they're desperate to keep their life from collapsing. I convinced myself I could fix it. I gave her another chance. We stayed together. And a month later, we got on the plane and moved back to the United States. I wish I could tell you that was the end. It wasn't. The first year back in the US was rough. Teaching English in Korea looks fine to other teachers, but to a lot of employers in America it reads like, "So you talked to teenagers for a few years?" It didn't help that I was coming back without a network. I bounced between gig work, deliveries, odd jobs, anything that kept money coming in. Eventually we hit a wall financially and moved in with my parents. It wasn't glamorous, but it stabilized us. I managed to get hired at a company I'd worked for before I left for Korea. It was a solid job, the kind of job that finally made me feel like I was building something again instead of surviving week to week. After a while, my wife got hired there too. 2 incomes. Benefits. A normal schedule. We moved into our own apartment. On the surface, it looked like the comeback story you tell people to prove love can survive anything. But underneath, we never really healed. We still fought. Not constantly, but enough that it always felt like the relationship was walking on a cracked floor. Sometimes she would get angry over things that made no sense to me, small, random stuff, and her anger wasn't just anger. It was contempt. One stupid example still sticks in my head because of how absurd it was. I used to drink Monster Energy sometimes. I'd leave the half-empty cans by the sink so I could pour them out later when I did dishes. I'd been doing that forever. She had never cared. Then one day she snapped like I'd committed a crime. She said, "Why do you leave those there? I told you not to do that." I remember blinking at her like, "When did you tell me that?" And she kept going, threats, insults, this whole humiliating performance. Something like, "Pour them out right now. If you do it again, I'm dumping them on your pillow." It wasn't about the cans. It was about power. About making me feel small. And that was the pattern. She'd cut me down, then later apologize, then do it again. By the fall of 2024, we were worn out. We talked about divorce. Not in a dramatic screaming match, more like 2 people looking at a dead battery and admitting it won't charge anymore. The divorce process started, but we were still living together because neither of us had the money to break the lease and move out. So we existed in this strange middle state, technically separating, but still sharing a home. Some days we acted like roommates. Some days we acted like friends. And yeah, sometimes we acted like more than friends. Friends with benefits, as pathetic as that sounds in a marriage falling apart. I still loved her. That was the problem. Every year since we moved back, she'd go to Korea for a few weeks to see family and friends. That year, 2024, she planned to go in the winter. The divorce wasn't finalized yet. Life was still messy and half finished. She went. And while she was there, one night I got a call from her. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. She said a woman had contacted her, angry, furious, through Kakao Talk. The woman was the wife of the man my wife had cheated with in Korea. My wife told me, through tears, that the wife had somehow found out about the affair from years ago. She said the woman sent threats. Legal threats. She said she might sue. I didn't even know how to process that. For an American, the spouse of the affair partner suing you sounds like something out of a soap opera. But Korea has a civil claim for adultery-related damages. Cheating isn't a crime there, but you can sue the third party for compensation. It's real. And suddenly my wife was terrified. Not of what she'd done to me, she'd survived that. She was terrified of consequences that cost money. Then she asked me for help. Specifically, she wanted me to take a loan from my 401k to pay for a lawyer. That's the thing about betrayal, even after someone hurts you, they can still find a way to make you feel responsible for cleaning up the mess. I asked her the obvious question. How would his wife find out now? That happened years ago. My wife had an explanation ready. She said that back when she was in the language academy, she'd written essays about her feelings and the affair. She claimed his wife must have discovered those essays recently, maybe he cheated again. The wife got suspicious, started digging through his things, found the old writings, and that led her to my wife. It was possible. But the timing felt wrong. For 4 years, this woman could have found out at any time. And somehow she finds out during the exact few weeks my wife is physically in Korea? What are the odds? My brain kept coming back to a darker, simpler explanation. Something happened again. My wife saw him again. The wife found out. I said that to her. I told her the timing didn't make sense. My wife swore up and down it wasn't true. She insisted there had been zero contact since the original cheating before we moved to the US. She said she hadn't seen him. Hadn't messaged him. Hadn't done anything. And I did the dumb thing I'd done before. I let her denial become the explanation. She hired a lawyer in Korea using her credit card. Then she told me I needed to sign paperwork giving her the right to sue the guy on my behalf. Because in Korea, since we were still legally married there, I, the husband, could file the claim. So the plan was, she'd handle it all, but my name would be on it. I didn't want to be part of any of it. I didn't want to reopen the entire trauma. But she made it sound simple, like I was just signing a form. Like I was helping protect us, even though us was already collapsing. So I signed. A couple months passed. And then I got an email. It was from him. The man she cheated with. I stared at the screen for a full minute before I opened it. When you see the name of someone who helped wreck your life, your body reacts before your brain does. My hands were cold. My heart was pounding. I remember thinking, this can't be real. But it was. He wrote like someone who was scared and trying to do the right thing too late. He apologized. He said he was genuinely sorry for what he'd done years ago. And then he told me something that made my stomach drop. They had met again, recently, when my wife came back to Korea at the end of 2024. Not only had they met, my wife had contacted him the day after she arrived. He said she wanted to see him. He said he didn't want to. He said he was trying to have a second child with his wife and he didn't want any drama in his life. But he also said he was afraid of ignoring her, because he thought she might escalate things, contact his wife, cause chaos, if he refused. So he agreed to meet for lunch. He told me that during that lunch, my wife tried to push it toward sex. He said he acted like he wasn't understanding her, like he was dodging it, and then he dropped her off at a subway station. A few days later, she messaged him again. She told him she still had deep feelings for him. She asked if he felt the same. She asked to meet and have sex. He said that's when he finally stopped being polite. He told her directly that he didn't have feelings for her. That he didn't want to see her anymore. That it was over. And that's when, according to him, my wife exploded. He said she somehow found his wife's contact information, either from his car or by searching her name on Kakao. And then she did something I never could have predicted. My wife was the one who contacted his wife. My wife confessed everything. Not because she felt guilty. Because she was furious he rejected her. The man told me he knew I might not believe him, so he included proof, screenshots of the messages my wife sent to his wife on Kakao Talk. And when I saw those screenshots, the room went quiet in my head. Like my brain hit a mute button. Because it meant something huge. His wife never would have known if my wife hadn't told her. All the fear. All the legal threats. The panic call to me. It wasn't random bad luck. It was self-destruction. My wife had set the fire, then called me crying about the smoke. After reading his email, another thought hit me, one of those thoughts that's obvious once it arrives. If my wife had never tried to sue him, he would have never contacted me. If Korea didn't have that civil claim, I probably would have never learned the truth. I was only finding out because my wife's rage had created a chain reaction she couldn't control. I didn't answer him immediately. I asked questions. I wanted details. I wanted to know what was real. He responded. He didn't dodge. And the more he explained, the more his version matched the timing, the behavior, the logic, everything my wife's story didn't have. Then came the part that made me physically sick. He said my wife's confession to his wife wasn't just, "We hooked up once." It was a full breakdown. She told his wife they'd stayed in contact for years, through Instagram, Snapchat, Google Docs. Anything that wouldn't show up as a normal text thread. She wrote about how they met again in 2023 when my wife visited Korea. She wrote that she booked a hotel. She wrote it like a woman describing something she couldn't let go of. She admitted she was in love with him. She even told his wife that he had been giving her online tutoring for sexual talk, basically coaching, for months, up through the summer of 2024. While she lived with me in America. While we were rebuilding. While I was trying to forgive and forget. And the entire time, whenever I had even a shadow of suspicion, my wife had looked me in the eyes and told me there was no contact since 2020. None. I felt stupid. Not because I believed her, because I wanted to believe her. Because I kept choosing the version of reality that hurt less. But now I had evidence. Screenshots. Messages. Timelines. So I decided I was going to give her one last chance to tell the truth before I confronted her with proof. I